Dear students, welcome to lecture 12 in distributed systems. In this lecture, I am going to start the topics of unit 3. So, you will be able to know about the introduction of distributed shared memory, design and implementation issues of DSM system, and the topic of granularity in this lecture. So, we have already discussed the two main basic paradigms of inter-process communication. Those are shared memory paradigm and message passing paradigm. So already in the video 6 and 9 we have discussed about the message passing system and the supporting remote procedure calls for message passing system. So in this paradigm you all know that there are two basic primitives for inter-process communication, that is send and receive. If you have not yet watched that 6th video or 9th video, please go back to the playlist and watch the message passing system video. And this paradigm consists of two basic primitives. As you know, send, recipient comma data, and the recipient will receive the data. So these are the two main primitives in an inter-process communication. The sending process generates the data to be shared and it sends it to the recipient with which it wants to communicate, and the recipient will receive the data. So overall, all these we have discussed previously. This is a revision about the inter-process communication is of two types, that is shared memory paradigm and message passing paradigm. So in contrast to message passing, means the opposite side of the message passing paradigm is the shared memory paradigm, and it provides to processes in a system with shared address space. So processes will use the address space in the same way as they use the local memory. How they will use the local memory in the processor? In the similar manner, they can use the address space of shared memory. So process will going to access the shared address space depending on these two primitives. Those are data is equal to read of address and write to address, comma, what data you want to write, you will be able to write in particular address. Okay, instead of send message in message passing system, we will send data to particular recipient, but here the data is read from particular address and it is write back to the memory with some data to particular address, as it is the concept of shared memory concept. Okay, I hope you have got this point. As it is a shared memory paradigm, the data is read from particular address. Say for example, if it is there is some data which is shared by two processes at particular address, it will be read with that particular, giving that particular address. And write of address comma data means you need to write the data to the shared memory location address itself. So that's why write of address comma data. With these two concepts, the shared memory paradigm will going to address. So the read returns the data item referenced by address. Whatever the data item is located at particular address, it will be returned back to the, and it is stored in the data. And the write sets the contents referenced by address to the value of the data. Whatever data we have given here, it will be wrote to that particular address specified. So the use of shared memory paradigm for inter-process communication is natural we have already discussed that the message passing approach is the most suitable for a distributed systems. But here we have discussed that there are two types of computer architectures. Those are loosely coupled systems and tightly coupled systems. So the shared memory paradigm for a distributed process will run on a tightly coupled shared memory multiprocessors. However, some loosely coupled distributed systems may run with no physical shared memory, but it is available to support for the shared memory paradigm. Okay, I am repeating again this concept. The use of shared memory paradigm means the concept of using the same address space by two or more processes is a shared memory paradigm. So loosely coupled systems, distributed systems, we have already discussed that there is no, in the lecture 1, in the lecture video 1 we have discussed that there will be no shareable address space in a loosely coupled systems and the processors will have their own memory. So no physical shared memory is available in loosely coupled distributed systems. So how in a distributed system with loosely coupled distributed memory systems, we are going to implement the concept of shared memory is the concept. So recently the inter-process communication mechanism for a loosely coupled memory distributed systems are given some recent advancement of having an implementation of software layer. Actually, there is no physical shared memory in a loosely coupled system, but we want to make a shared memory for a loosely coupled distributed systems. So the recent advancements of loosely coupled distributed memory systems have implemented, means designed a software layer on the top of the message passing communication system in order to provide the shared memory abstraction concept in a loosely coupled systems, so that the shared memory abstraction will give an illusion means which is not real, is illusion. So illusion of physical shared memory to the programmers, and it allows the programmers to use the shared memory paradigm in a loosely coupled systems. Okay, hope you have got this point. In a tightly coupled system, there will be a shared memory paradigm. But in a loosely coupled distributed memory systems, no physical shared memory will be there. So to enable that physical, no physical shared memory concept, the recent implementation of software layer on the top of the message passing communication system will help to the no physical shared memory concept. Means we can have the shared memory concept virtually. That concept is discussed here. That's why it is the term called as the distributed shared memory. So this software layer is used for providing the shared memory abstraction which can be implemented. They will be implemented in the operating system or in runtime library routines. Whatever it is suitable, it will be, this software layer abstraction will be implemented. With this, the shared memory abstraction will give the systems an illusion of physically shared memory. So the programmer will think that he is using the shared memory paradigm, but in real it is an illusion. It is some software layer abstraction implemented in an operating system, so that the programmer can think of that he is using the shared memory abstraction. So the term distributed shared memory refers to the shared memory paradigm applied to the loosely coupled distributed systems. Finally, actually, in a loosely coupled distributed memory systems, we will not have the concept of shared memory. We will have a local memory. So with the advancements implementations of software abstraction layer on loosely coupled distributed systems, enabling or creating an illusion that the programmers are able to use the shared memory concept. So the distributed shared memory, see here, exists only virtually. The architecture, this is the architecture of distributed shared memory, where there are a number of CPUs and memory unit on a node 1, node 2 and node n, which is connected via a communication network. So as shown in figure, it consists of one or more CPUs and memory unit. And the data abstraction, the distributed shared memory abstraction, will give a large space to all the processors of every node. But in a tightly coupled parallel architectures, the shared memory of DSM exists only virtually. So to facilitate the mapping operation, the shared memory space is divided into group of blocks. Data caching is a well-known solution to address memory access latency. Latency means delay in time is latency. So to access the memory, some data caching is the technique where you can access the data items in a quick manner. It also reduces the network latency. So this idea is implemented in order to reduce the network latency. From node 1 to node 2 time gap we can reduce with the help of data caching. The frequently data items can be stored in cache memory. Memory mapping between the local memory and the cache of shared memory space is associated with number of processes. So the basic unit of caching is memory block. So in a system, if a block fault is generated and the control is passed to the operating system, and the operating system will send a message to the node so that it can identify the missing block. If there is any missing block, it is migrated from the remote node to the client process node. So the user process which is there in the user system, the system looks like a tightly coupled shared multiprocessor systems. Number of copies of data will be cached in local memory, which eliminates the network traffic for a memory access, and it is on cache hit. Means if there is a data in cache, it is cache hit. If there is no data, it is miss. You will study in operating system that hit and page miss. Like that, cache hit. So various of these general approaches and implementations are depends on the DSM implementation, whether it allows the replication means duplication or migration of shared memory data blocks or not, and this we will discuss in the next lecture. Okay, overall you need to know about the architecture is the distributed shared memory will exist virtually, and different nodes will have the CPU unit, one or more CPUs and a memory unit. The nodes are connected by a high communication speed network, that is this one. The nodes are connected by a high speed communication network, second point. And the third one is a simple message passing system will allow the process on different nodes to exchange each other. Whenever the node 1 want to talk to node 2, a simple message passing system between node 1 and node 2 will help in that purpose. And DSM will present a large shared memory space to all the processors of all nodes. Every node can access the large distributed shared memory space. See here, these dotted line, these memory in the processors can access this shared memory. Each can access the large space of distributed shared memory. And to facilitate this mapping operation, the shared memory space, and this shared memory space will be divided into separate blocks. If there is any missed blocks or there is any network fault, then it can be accessed via the cache memory, and it will hold number of copies in cache. And it also depends upon the implementation of the DSM system. So the data blocks may keep on migrating from here to here or here to here, like that they keep on migrating as it is a shared memory space. They can migrate from one node to another depending on demand. If there is no communication, but then the communication is not visible to the user process, the user process may look like that. It is a tightly coupled shared memory system. It can freely read and write the data to the shared memory at a time. So some of the important issues involved in the design and implementation of DSM systems are: first one is granularity. It always refers to the block size of a distributed shared memory system. Means we have already discussed that the large space of distributed shared memory is divided into number of blocks. So what should be the size of that particular block in a distributed shared memory system? The unit of sharing and the unit of data transfer across the network is nothing but the granularity. It refers to the block size. So selecting proper block size is an important, and it is one of the issue in designing the distributed shared memory system. If there is a large block size, it may be prone to the network traffic attacks or the network block faults. And the second issue involved in design and implementation of DSM is structure of shared memory space. So what it refers to? It refers to the layout of the shared data. How the shared data should be maintained in a shared memory is nothing but the structure of shared memory space. It is normally dependent on the type of the application we are going to save in the DSM system and how it supports, whether that particular application is supported by the DSM system or not. How means relational, or if the application is a relational type, or it is structureless, or it is a structured data, like that. What structure and the layout of that shared data is going to be should be handled. And the second issue is memory coherence and access synchronization. As there are multiple copies of shared data items, copies of that shared data items are all available simultaneously in main memories for number of nodes. So the number of different nodes can access the multiple copies of shared data items simultaneously. So the main problem in this case is that To solve the memory coherence problem or the collision problem that deals with the consistency and correctness of that particular piece of data we are going to share by the two memories, we need to take care. Means the updations between the shared data, updations or modifications of shared data item should be taken care, and it should be consistent when at a particular point of time. It should not give the values different. It should not give the values different to different users. It should be consistent for all the users. Consistent means it should be same. It should give the same values. If we also having the different replication of data, duplication of data is also there, it should be synchronized and memory coherence should be there. So the concurrent access to shared data may be generated, and we need to take care of the consistency via the semaphores. Means if particular, this one concept is in operating systems where when there is a write block, the other process should wait until the semaphore value will become negative. Like that, or using locks whenever the shared memory data is going to update, it should log that process, and then after completing the writing, it should give access to the other process. Like that, if we use those methods, we can get out of this issue. And the fourth one is data location and access. So to access particular data, shared data in a DSM system, first of all we have to know where it is and how to retrieve the data by a user process. So it should be possible to locate the data, and it should be able to retrieve the data by the user process. So some mechanism is needed in order to retrieve the data. If even if we have that block faults, we should meet the requirement. And the fifth issue is replacement strategy. Means if the local memory of node is full, the cache miss at that node implies not only a fetch of that access data block but also a replacement. Means that one cannot access the data, cache miss. So the data block of local memory should be replaced by the new data block. So some of the cache replacement strategy is also necessary while designing the distributed shared memory. Replacement strategy is nothing but when the local memory of node is full, a new data block should be replaced with that old data block, and it should be taken care while designing a DSM system. Otherwise, if the data is full, we cannot store other data. And the sixth one is thrashing. So then we discussed that the data blocks may migrate between the nodes on demand. So the data block may go to from first node to second node, or second to third to first, like that. They can migrate on demand. They can move. Now, migration is nothing but they can move, or they can go to particular node on demand. Means when there is a request of particular that data block, they can move. So therefore, if two nodes compete for write access, this one, if two nodes compete means if both the nodes are trying to write the data on a single data item, so the corresponding data block may be transferred back and forth. So whatever probability or whatever the high rate importance is there, we should give importance to that particular process, and DSM system must have some policy to avoid this situation. If both are trying to get the right access, what policy it should take it. Like first come first serve means if process P1 asks to write permission for single data item for the same data item, then P2, the process will going to give access for P1 process to write access or for P2 process, or depending on priority it is going to give the right access. Like that, there should be some policy in order to avoid the situation of competing process or competing nodes for write access. And the seventh one is heterogeneity. We all know that distributed shared memory systems are built for homogeneous systems and they need not address the heterogeneity issue. But if the DSM system is designed as heterogeneous, this issue also need to be taken care so that all the functions of DSM system will run on different architectures. And the next concept is granularity. In the design issues, design and implementation issues of DSM, the first one we have discussed is granularity. So this is one of the most visible parameters which should be taken care while designing a DSM system. It all refers to the block size. We should take care of this granularity while designing a DSM because of the following criterions. First one, factors influencing the block size selection. Means how the block size should be. How the block size should be selected. Means for a loosely coupled systems, it should be large packet, or sending the large packet is very effective, or small packets is very effective. We should decide on the block size. See here, a block size of sending large packets of data is not expensive than sending small ones. Means if we will compare, if we buy a pen drive which costs 4 MB, which costs 200 of 4 MB and 800 of 3 in 800, sorry, a 4 MB costs 300. If we are getting 8 MB for 500, we will go to buy the 500. Why? Because it is not much more expensive when we are going for large memory. Like that, sending large packets of data is not much more expensive than sending small ones. If you send only just 256 bytes also, it costs the same. If you send the 4 kilobytes, 4 KB in the 256 bytes are same. Means when you send the packet of size 256 bytes, it is not much more expensive if you send 4 kilobytes. So this is the usual paradigm. Means this is the usual one, the protocol which we will follow in a virtual memory layer. So this fact will give you to go for a large block size as it is not more expensive. But here some other factors also influence for the choice of block size, whether it should be large or it should be small. Those factors are paging overhead. Means in a shared memory paradigm, to provide the locality of reference. So the process is likely to access a large region of its shared address space in a small amount of time. So it may access or it may take a large region of shared address space. So paging overhead is less for large block size as compared to small block size. This concept you will learn in operating systems, paging overhead, and when you need to know this one, the overhead, paging overhead of large block size is less compared to the small block sizes, and the directory size. So this another factor which is affecting the choice of block size is that we need to keep directory information about the blocks in the system. Each memory is divided into different blocks. So for example, if 100 MB space is divided into 10 blocks, each block will have 10 MB of memory, like that, or else that memory block should be divided into two blocks only, each of 50 MB and 50 MB. How that granularity should be there, how that block size should be there will be the topic here, and it depends upon the factors like paging overhead, directory size, means the information about the blocks in the system, whether they are allocated, how much a memory is allocated, or the block size is empty or not, like that. All the results should be maintained in a directory manner, and this overhead is also less in larger block sizes. And the third is thrashing problem. This problem will occur when data items in the same block are being updated by multiple nodes. When multiple nodes are going to update the same data block, the problem of thrashing will occur. So it will cause the large number of data blocks to transfer among the nodes. So thrashing problem may occur with any block size, but it is more likely in larger blocks. And the fourth one is false sharing. It occurs when two processes access to two unrelated variables. Actually, those are not related variables for that particular process. Even though the original variables are not yet shared, the data block appears to be shared by the two processes. As the larger is the block size, the higher is the probability of false sharing, as the fact that the same data block may contain different data structures which are using independently. So the problem again leads to the thrashing problem. Means both the process P1 and P2 processes access the two unrelated variables which are residing in the same data block. They are not at all related to that particular process. So this sharing is called as false sharing, which irrelevant data will be accessed by the processes. So the first one is in granularity is factors influencing the block size, whether small size block or large size. And the other one is using page size block as the block size. So this one has some of the advantages over the block size. See here, some of the advantages of using the page size as a block size are these one. The relative advantages and disadvantages of this small and large block size is to decide on proper block size, how it should be, large or small. So for this purpose, the page size, considering page size as the block size, are having the following advantages. They are, it allows the use of existing page fault schemes. Already we have some schemes for page faults. So for that purpose, all those existing page fault schemes are used to trigger whenever there is a page fault in distributed shared memory. So the memory coherence problems can also be resolved with this issue. So one of the advantage of considering the block size as page size is we can use the existing page fault schemes, that is hardware mechanisms we can use, and we can avoid the memory coherence problems also. And the second one is it allows the access write control, means the functionality of the memory management unit can be integrated with the access write control, where we will have an access of read, write and execute, and we can give each one a shared entity. And the third advantage is as long as a page can fit into a packet, page size will not impose any problem or any communication overhead. It will not be a communication overhead for network page faults. Means the page can fit into a packet, means the size of the page and the packet are almost equal or less than the packet size. So experience have shown that the page size is the suitable data unit for memory contention. With respect to the memory contention, the granularity should be the page size. So the topics discussed in this lecture are: what is the distributed shared memory, architecture of DSM, design and implementation issues in DSM, and the concept of granularity. In this we have discussed that page size is the appropriate block size. Thank you.